Welcome to Pathetic, the podcast. The gang's all here. We have Jeff, we have Teddy. Everyone is back, ready to go. Ted's at like 85%, I think. But please, before we get into introduce everybody, please like, subscribe. If you're listening to this, tell a friend. You know, your annoying coworker that bugs you about sports all day long in the office. Tell them to listen to the podcast. It'll entertain them. It'll probably get you out of their hair, get your work done a little bit easier. But please like, subscribe. Linktree's in the corner. I'm taking the reins today. Teddy's still a little bit under the weather, but Teddy, how are we doing today? How are you feeling?
I'm doing much better, thank you. My only situation is I can't talk too long without coughing. So all of a sudden you'll see me coughing, but I'll have the mute button on. But I guess I'm doing as well as I can do with the shitty situation of my sports teams. I have nothing to live for sports wise. So, and I'm just going to end it right there.
Well, listen, If you're running out of gas as far as your voice and what you want to talk about, this is the perfect day to do it because we got to do a season recap of the Jets and the Giants, which I guess, Mike, you and I have to bear the brunt of discussing it more than Uncle Teddy does. But hey, listen, this is, I guess, par for the course for what we deal with every year, right?
Yep. It is the namesake of the podcast, Pathetic. It is certainly a way to describe this 2025 NFL season. If we could just go back 3 months when we all did the win-loss, and we all had our teams going near or above 500. Clearly that was not the case. But as we always say, our long national nightmare is now over. The 2025 season is in the books. I want to start with Jeff because I think you have a little bit more to talk about in terms of where you are, what's next. The Jets are just a big mess, and we'll get to them shortly. But I want to start with the Giants because they at least have some optimism and some at least a path to get to some sort of light. So, Jeff, let me hear a little bit about your wrap-up of the Giants season and, where do we think going forward?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit last week. Listen, they have the quarterback. They just don't have the coach as of right now. And there's one that became available yesterday, and that goes by John Harbaugh. He's the number one guy that every Giant fan should want. In fact, Mike, you texted this when it happened. There were 6 job openings, and he got 7 phone calls. So that tells you how much everybody wants this guy. But as far as a season recap, listen, it's funny. I circled the clock back to the beginning of the year when we did an episode and we discussed the expectations of both teams. My expectation wasn't to win a bunch of games or make the playoffs. It was to compete in these games, right? Because we had Russell Wilson starting, inevitably transitioning to Jackson Dart. So I just wanted to see improvement and compete against the best teams, right? Especially with this schedule. I mean, it was a nightmare. And, I look back on the year, the Giants actually did that. They actually did. If you look at the scores, right? I know they blew a bunch of games, and trust me, I'm not happy about it. But you look at the scores of these games, you look at how hard they fought against the top teams in the league, they did it. They actually did. They did exactly what I expected them to do. And the future looks bright, barring the coach. And I guess we'll talk about that in a little bit, what's going to happen with that. But, look, the season recap, I think, is very simple to dissect. We have the quarterback. We have a roster. We have a bright future if we get the right coach.
Yeah, I think that's your biggest thing. Teddy, your thoughts on the Giants?
I mean, I don't have too many thoughts because I've got enough problems, on my side. But I think Jeff's right. I think the future is bright for the Giants, and I think they will get the right coach because if they get one of the 3, they're really the main people. They're going to be fine. I think they have a bright future. I do think they competed, fairly well. They never gave up. I mean, that's the one thing, boy, you can really hang your hat on that. That that last game of the season when you said, "Oh man, let's just lose to the Cowboys and get the number 2 pick," and they wanted no part of that. And you know what? I think that's good. The one thing is, I think that Shane's got to be on the hot seat. He's really got to be on the hot seat.
Yep.
And honestly, if one of these coaches comes in and says, "Listen, my plan is I would like to have so and so as the GM," guess what, Shane? We'll call you an Uber. You're out. Especially if it's Harbaugh. Maybe he's the only one you would do that for. Maybe. but
or maybe McCarthy, I would maybe do that for too.
Maybe. I think McCarthy seems like the kind of guy that he'd just be happy to come in and coach. You know?
Yeah, he's been sitting on his couch for a year. He wants to get back in
eating Cheetos.
He's good with whoever's a GM at this point.
But I agree with you, Jeff.
And I will say this too, Jeff. I would agree. I think we talked a little bit about it last week that Abdul Carter has really turned things around. He must have had a come to Jesus moment at some point to say, "Hey, you can't be this guy and be such a malcontent and not produce on the field." So he's gotten some more sacks, more pressure. It feels like they're going in the right direction there as well. And they have a great defensive line. You put him with Thibodeau, I mean, that's a pretty scary what we thought at the beginning of the season. Didn't turn out that way for most of the season, but the last couple of games, you really saw what that D-line can actually do.
Well, look, the Giants have talent. We said that from the beginning of the year. We saw it throughout the season. They have talent. They just lost games because of poor game management, right? Which is why, listen, let's call it like it is. John Harbaugh has to be the one and only guy they even honestly consider. I know they have to consider other people. I get it, just in case. But this is the guy. And from every report we've seen, the Giants are all in, apparently, according to Connor Hughes. And he has a lot of information. He has sources. The Giants are all in. So I would say, I think, barring an opening that gets more attractive than the Giants, like the Bills, or dare I say the Eagles, that scares the hell out of me. If they lose this weekend and they fire their coaches, I think the feeling is mutual as of today. I think Harbaugh wants to be here. I think he wants to coach the Giants, and I think the Giants want him. And he is the perfect fit for the Giants. He has the CEO mentality. He's an all-around coach. He's going to hire a good staff. You look at what he's done throughout his career. Forget the record. Let's put that aside for a second. He developed 2 quarterbacks. Won a championship with one of them, right? So this is a guy that knows how to deal with quarterbacks. He understands it. It just got stale in Baltimore. It happens. It happens to almost every coach, right? So for me, like I said, if we lose out on Harbaugh, I'd be wildly disappointed. But there are other choices. But to me, it's like Harbaugh is the guy now. They have to get him.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, 18 years in Baltimore. I mean, very rarely do you see any sort of leader in any field last 18 years in the same spot. And you're right, it does get stale after a while. And I would rather that be the case where you're going to get a guy who has only been in one place as opposed to a guy who's been a retread over and over and over again, who's been in the league, where really his only place has been Baltimore. He's been successful there. He just needs a new change of scenery. And you want to be in a bellwether franchise in the NFL like you would say the Giants would be. And, I would think you have to go in. If he shows up at your facility, you cannot let him leave without signing the contract.
Yeah. The only problem is they have to go through the process, right? They have to do the Rooney Rule interviews, and, that's going to leak into next week. What happens after this weekend, right? Are there going to be openings where all of a sudden the Giants aren't the prettiest girl on the dance floor, right? So I do have my concerns about losing him. I really do. Because I think if it was up to the Giants, they would just interview him and sign the deal today. Like it wouldn't even be a question. But there is a process. It is what it is. But yeah, I'll be rooting for the Eagles and the Bills this weekend to make sure they keep their hands off Harbaugh. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. But, listen, at the end of the day, the Giants are the most attractive job right now. They really are. I don't think there's really a close second. Like, I really don't. I think even Baltimore. Well, yes. Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. What do you think of Lamar right now? Is he the same guy? You think he's going downhill? This is a guy that's been playing the same style for all these years. And obviously today, Lamar is better than Jackson Dart, no doubt. But where does he go in the next 3 or 4 years?
The rest of the team.
He didn't look good.
The rest of the team.
Yeah.
Do you know, I saw a thing. I think Harbaugh's record without Lamar was in the playoffs was really great. They said a lot of the problem that he was having was Lamar didn't want to be what he was. He wanted to become a pocket passer. And Harbaugh knew that that's not your game. And Lamar didn't want to do that. And I think that's what they came to loggerheads on that. But honestly, I think if you look at and this is not a knock against the Giants, if you look at the whole Baltimore Ravens team overall, I think they're a really good team. They put up with a lot of stuff this year, a lot of injuries. and they still finished 8-9. And honestly, they could have won that if that stupid kicker doesn't miss that field goal. They're in the playoffs instead of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you're right though. The Giants, it's a very attractive job though. It really is.
Absolutely. And the Ravens have had terrible luck in the playoffs.
Mhm.
I mean, losing coin tosses when it was still in overtime, when you had the coin toss rule, a couple of terrible drops, poorly timed fumbles, like really just awful luck in the playoffs. Otherwise, this team could have been to multiple Super Bowls over that time and probably won a couple of them, but they just ran into a buzzsaw in the AFC and couldn't get there. But I would agree that the Giants is number one. I would say Baltimore is two. A few other jobs out there are probably kind of attractive, but it really depends on how the draft goes. But we'll see what the Giants are going to do. I would say you're pretty happy with where you are right now, despite the record. But I think a lot of that was the coach. I don't think you have to worry about that. So certainly optimistic there when it comes to the Giants, but. This podcast is called Pathetic for a reason, and it's because a lot of it is because of the other team in New York that is quite possibly the opposite of what the Giants are in terms of showing fight and everything else at the end of the season here, and that's the Jets. I mean, we are just in absolute hell at the moment. We got the number 2 pick because a couple teams won games they probably shouldn't have wanted to. So we are number 2, but you got to think there's a lot of problems with this team right now. And I think one of them might be the head coach at this point, because he's clearly didn't show you a lot in terms of what you want him to see this season. But I'm curious, Teddy, where you are. We've texted probably more over the last 2 weeks about this team, and how despondent we are. But I'm curious your thoughts on how this season ended for us, and thank God it's over at this point.
Well, number one, before I even do that, I want to put my hand up and I want to take accountability. I was the guy who really felt that Justin Fields was going to be a big pickup for us. Now, I did go 500 on that because I also said Russell Wilson was done. But I was more adamant about Justin Fields, and I'm putting my hand up. I was dead wrong about that. Dead wrong. When it comes to the Jets, I think Aaron Glenn might not be the guy. But the one thing I will say is that when the Giants hired Bill Parcells, he won 3 games that first year. And they continued to build the team, and he became a better coach. I'm hopeful. This might be a situation like the Giants where, we get our quarterback, maybe we get our quarterback, we build the team. Because I think with their cap space and all their draft picks, they can rebuild this fairly quickly. Maybe not completely this year, but, over the next year and a half, 2 years. But we might be in a situation where halfway through the year, we're firing Aaron Glenn. I don't know. But I want to talk about the draft, but I'll do that after we do our synopsis of the Jet season. But yeah, it was disappointing. I think this was the worst Jets team I've ever watched since 1967. I've been watching the Jets, and I thought the Kotite one, the one in, was it 1-13 or 1-15?
Yeah.
I thought that was the worst. And then these guys said, "Hold my beer," because this was just pathetic. It truly was pathetic. So,
yeah. And the fact that there's no fight in this team. There was nobody on this team who stepped up and said, we're not gonna get blown out by Buffalo in the last week of the season. Our defense is gonna lay down and let Mitch Trubisky run all over us for a game and just be down 35-0 before you even breathe. That's the most disheartening part. I mean, the team talent-wise is nowhere near where it needs to be, and I think that was your biggest problem. But the fact that you didn't even put up a fight these last couple of weeks, and you got outscored like 188-55 or whatever it was, it is just it's awful. You couldn't even watch these games. I don't think I watched a second of the game on Sunday.
I didn't either.
So
yeah, and I'm all for, almost giving a pass for the first year for most coaches, because you're learning on the job. Especially with the Jets, you don't have any talent whatsoever. I mean, let's be honest, the Jets have no talent at all. The problem I have with Aaron Glenn is versus Bill Parcells when he won 3 games with the Giants his first year. Now, I didn't see it live, obviously, I wasn't around, but Aaron Glenn just seems like he has no idea what the hell he's doing. And I'm going to assume that Bill Parcells probably showed signs of, okay, I know what I'm doing, just got to kind of fix this, right? Aaron Glenn, I can't name one good thing I like about him. I really can't. I can't, besides maybe 2 or 3 games this year where the team played hard, what has Aaron Glenn done well this year? I really can't name one thing. Now, the problem the Jets have is they can't just fire Aaron Glenn, because unfortunately for the Jets, they are an unbelievably unattractive job, right? There really is nothing that would attract a coach to the Jets. So you might as well roll the dice on Aaron Glenn one more year and see what you have. I'd rather do that than fire him, like a lot of Jet fans want to do, and roll the dice on another first-time head coach, because you're not going to get Harbaugh. There's no chance he'd come here, even if he got paid a lot. McCarthy's not coming here. Stefanski's not coming here. There's too many good jobs out there to go to the Jets right now. So run it with Glenn one more time. And if it doesn't work out, you move on. But I don't know. I can't name one thing right now to say, okay, this is what I like about Glenn. This is what he can do well. I think he is a horrifying head coach. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, look, they didn't get an interception the entire season, which is just mind-boggling, that you couldn't fall into one, or one bounces off of somebody's hands and into your hands. You can get, and you're a cornerback who is arguably like a borderline Hall of Fame cornerback, and you couldn't teach these guys to get one interception this entire season. Now you did trade Sauce Gardner halfway through the year. You traded a piece of the defense to get all this draft capital. But I'm with you, Jeff. There really wasn't much in terms of, this team being prepared to play every single week, this team looking like it is able to make adjustments at halftime. None of that really happened a lot this season. So, I am with you in terms of you can't get rid of him now, because with all the other options that are out there, I don't know who you're going to get other than another first-time coach. And at that point, you might as well stick with Glenn and see what happens in year 2. But, we'll see what happens. But I also want to get your thoughts, Teddy, on this report that came out about from the guy at ESPN about none of the free agents want to come to the Jets. No NFL player or no draft pick wants to come there. So I'm curious. I know that pretty much steamed you up quite a bit.
Well, Todd McShay from ESPN, he said that he knows that not one single draft-eligible player, first rounder, wants to come to the Jets. And then he has the nerve. You want to say that, that's fine. But don't quantify it by saying, if I'm Dante Moore, I'm reaching out to the Raiders and I'm asking, are you going to pick me? Because he goes, you got to remember, this is a storied franchise. This is a successful franchise. The Raiders have had 5 head coaches in the last 5 years. They've had probably or the same or worse situation as the Jets over the past 15 years. And the thing is, everybody forgets, Todd McShay and Joe Douglas were like this. They were in college together. So, of course, he's probably ticked off at the Jet situation because he doesn't like the fact that Joe Douglas was let go. And now he's throwing this crap out there. Let me tell you, and all these idiots that are saying, well, Dante Moore should go back because he'll get more in nil money than he will on his contract. No, he won't. The highest nil player is $5 million. And I think that's maybe Arch Manning. If Dante Moore goes second, he's going to wind up with $20 million.
Right.
And that's another story. Yep. Who knows? Do you draft him? Do you not? Because I heard this, Mike, today. Brian Flores is very high on the Raiders list. And Brian Flores, if he becomes the Raiders head coach, wants his offensive coordinator to be Brian Daboll. If Brian Daboll goes to the Raiders, Dante Moore is more his style of quarterback than Fernando Mendoza. So if there's anything to root for, that's what I'm rooting for. I really like Dante Moore. I do. And I think he might have a higher upside. A lot of people say that. He doesn't have it right now. It's not as good as Fernando. But I still would rather have Fernando right now. But the thing is, you know what? You do what you got. I trust Muji at this point. He's earned my trust.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if he decides
that's the one thing,
I'm not going to pick anybody and I'm going to trade out and go, maybe the Giants want Cornell Reese at 2, the linebacker, and we get a haul from you, or we get a haul from Cleveland for the 2. And then next year we're looking at 4 or 5 first rounders and Arch Manning comes out. You know, it's a different situation.
Yeah, and although I can't mention one good thing about Aaron Glenn, I can mention one good thing about the Jets, and that's the GM. I actually think he knows what he's doing. And look, the proof is in the pudding, right? We got to see, we'll talk about it 3 years down the road, how the team actually pans out. But on face value, if you're looking at what you've seen so far from him, he's no dummy. And this idea that Aaron Glenn is going to run the show, I don't buy that for a minute. Muji's running the show. Aaron Glenn is just front and center every week, so there's this misconception that he's running the show. He may have had a lot to do with Aaron Rodgers leaving and all that, but as of today, right, forget the past. As of right now, Aaron Glenn has no leg to stand on. He knows it. No matter how much he wants to pump out his chest during that press conference, doesn't matter. Muji's running the show. So if you're going to mention one good thing about the Jets, and it's a big thing, by the way, it really is, Muji knows what the hell he's doing. So there is some positive there.
Shout out to Jetman, because he texted that tonight to me and Mike, that in the beginning of the season, it was Glenn and then it was Muji. He says now it's like this. So, Jetman was all over this, and I think he's right.
Yeah, the 75 text messages I got while I was driving home today was I was trying to not crash and trying to read all these text messages.
Oh God, that was so funny.
But yeah, we'll see. We have a lot going on. There's again 7 head coaches openings right now. Any other ones that you guys, either you, Jeff, or Teddy, fascinated on? Obviously, Baltimore's a big one, but I think Stefanski is a nice option for a lot of teams in Cleveland. I think he, 2-time coach of the year. Yeah, I think he's going to land somewhere and do pretty well. I mean, he did as well as you could possibly do in Cleveland with the disaster that happened after they got rid of Baker Mayfield with the Deshaun Watson and everything else. That team did go in with Baker Mayfield and go into Pittsburgh and win a playoff game. So, he's clearly a good coach. So I think you could do a lot worse than Kevin Stefanski if you're looking for a coach right now.
The best way to look at Kevin Stefanski is Cleveland's a place where coaches go to die. He survived. He survived until he just couldn't survive anymore. I actually think Kevin Stefanski in the right spot would be a very, very good head coach. He was a good head coach in Cleveland. It's just that organization is horrifying on every level, every single level.
They're as bad as us.
Yeah, and in some ways worse. Contract-wise, who they bring in. Yeah, in some ways worse, seriously. So I like Stefanski. I think this is going to be a very interesting offseason because you have Mike McCarthy waiting in the wings. I saw a number today. I'm trying to look it up and I can't find it. Somebody sent this to me, like a Coach X and Coach Y. Who would you rather have? They compared Mike McCarthy to Harbaugh. And over the last 5 years, their numbers are like identical. So he's somebody that's going to be very attractive or should be for a lot of teams. But for some reason, Mike McCarthy just gets the short end of the complimentary stick. Like no one likes him for some reason, despite the fact that this guy does nothing but win, right? So he's an attractive candidate. And we'll see what happens with a few other guys. Maybe they get let go, during the playoffs. You never know, right? I could see McDermott leaving, even though I think McDermott stinks. Again, I know we talked about this pre-show. I wouldn't say that Stefanski's job is not Stefanski. I'm sorry, Sirianni for the Eagles.
Oh, not safe.
I don't think his job is safe.
No.
Yeah, listen, man. If the Eagles get blown out this weekend, I think he's gone. I really do. So by the end of the season, this could be a very, very interesting offseason in terms of hirings and firings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So we will certainly see there. We have quite a couple of weeks here in terms of playoffs and coaching situations, and then we roll into the draft, and we're right back. Before we know it, we'll be doing our win-loss again, and probably again having 13-4 as the Jets record. Even though I said it last week, Jeff, I don't know if I could do it this year. But when that schedule comes out, you look at it, you're like,
you're doing it.
Yeah, these are going to be games that we can win. Of course we
Yeah,
can.
listen, I'm telling you right now, if the Giants hire Harbaugh, I got them going undefeated. So just prepare for that.
Well,
believe me,
Mike, I'm going to do what they do in poker where they do a blind bet. My blind bet right now on the Jets, I'm going to say 2-15.
Yeah. Yep. Before we even get the schedule,
Right.
I mean, we see who's out there. I mean, you have to play the AFC West and the NFC North next year, so it's almost like the Giants' schedule this year. So,
well, you did mention the schedule real quick on the schedule before we move on. The Giants, another attractive part of that job is their schedule is not that bad next year. If you look, they didn't show the exact schedule when they're playing these teams, but there's like 8 or 9 games that they should win, like without question. Like just based on the teams. So that's another part you got to look at and say, all right, we're not playing the hardest schedule. It's going to be a very easy schedule comparatively. And that's a huge part of it. I look at the Giants this year, Mike, we talked about it last week. Like a lot of it was a product of their schedule. It's like, you're training to be a boxer, for example, right? You're doing good. All of a sudden they're like, all right, you got to fight Floyd Mayweather now.
Right,
and you just get your ass kicked and it looks bad, right?
So you guys are playing the East, obviously the East. Then you play at home, Arizona, Cleveland, Jacksonville, New Orleans, San Francisco, and Tennessee. So New Orleans, San Francisco, and Jacksonville outside the East are going to be tough games. Away, you go to Detroit, you go to Houston, you go to Indy, you go to LA to play the Rams, and you go to Seattle to play the Seahawks.
Away is hard.
Away is hard. It is.
But then you look at the division. If we split those games, which is ideal, right? If you have Jackson Dart playing like we hope he's going to play, and you get a good coach, at minimum, I expect to split with each team in the division. Yep. So the Giants have a good opportunity next year. They really do.
Yeah.
And who's to say they're not going to compete and beat those teams? The tough teams.
They
should.
Yeah. I'll give you one observation for the year that it didn't surprise me, but I'm glad it happened. That kid for New Orleans, Tyler Shuck, Kellen Moore did a great job coaching him up. And then when it was time and he put him in, this kid really came to play. You look at his numbers over the last, month and a half of the season, and if they can add some weapons and they're going to be good. New Orleans is going to be good again.
And that division is very winnable every single year between Tampa and Atlanta and Carolina. I mean,
it's
every
like
year everyone is like 8 and 9 every single year, and you're always going to play that Saturday afternoon game. So, but we will certainly see how the coaching search goes. We will keep an eye on those things, and hopefully we get a quick resolution for the Giants head coaching search. But time will tell when it comes to that. But right now, what we'll do, we'll kind of switch over to our picks. I do have a Mikey Mush pick for us first before we get into the real slop of the final couple of weeks of the season. I'm actually going with college wrestling, NCAA wrestling, as our we are right into conference play. I'm going to take
only you would know that.
I'm in a 3-team parlay for wrestling. All these games are on Saturday, the 10th. I'm going to take Rutgers plus 41.5 points at Penn State. That seems like a lot of points. I know Penn State is like the best wrestling team in the history of college wrestling, but 41.5 is a lot of points. So give me Rutgers to keep it close enough to cover that 41.5 point number. Game 1, I'll take Illinois plus 5.5 at home against Minnesota. I don't know if Minnesota is very good, but give me a home dog all day long when it comes to anything. I feel like wrestling, you can have the home crowd can give you some sort of advantage and give you some points, hopefully.
The Midwest wrestling is good.
Yeah.
Yes.
All across the Midwest. So I don't know anything about Minnesota, but I guarantee you they're good.
Yeah. And then I will take Oklahoma plus 29.5 at Oklahoma State. It's an in-state rivalry. Those things are usually pretty close. So 29.5 points, again, seems like a lot of points for wrestling. So I will take those three.
Is this a parlay?
As our most picks. A parlay, correct.
What is it? What is the plus number on it?
Plus 662, so 6 to 1.
And I
6.5.
just checked. If you add and make it a 4-leg and add Ric Flair even, it goes to plus 800.
Yes. So actual wrestling, not the wrestling entertainment. Actual wrestling is Mikey Mush's picks for this week.
Nice.
Now, Mike, do you watch these? Like, are you going to watch the wrestling, or do you wait for the results and just it is what it is?
I will. If I can find a way to watch them, I will. I did watch online the European handball one of the weeks, and I think my computer is still all jacked up. I think there was those weeks when the computer audio got all messed up because I was on some third party European website that probably downloaded 14 viruses onto my computer to watch this thing. But
it kept flashing up. Talk to me on Telegram.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, Homeland Security is monitoring my computer now because of the sites I was on to watch these things. But I will probably watch these three. I mean, these games are usually on Big Ten Network or something. Yeah. So I should probably be able to catch some of these games on Saturday. But we do have NFL picks.
Ugh.
Finally have a finish to the season. Jeff, you kind of fell into the Jets trap at the end of the season here.
0-6. Let me say it at least. Let me talk about my disaster. 0-6, which is why I don't bet, by the way. People wonder, why don't you bet? This is exactly why. I think I went 0-3 last week too, right?
Correct.
So I finished. All right, so I finished 0-6.
34-40, Jeff.
Whew. Yikes.
No, I went 24 and 30.
No, 34 and he was under 500. He finished
24 wins and 30 losses.
24 and 30.
24
Sorry,
and 30.
I was giving too many games. 24 and 30. Right. I went 1-2 last week and finished at 500, 27 and 27. And the champion of the regular season, Teddy, went 3-0, 28, 27 and 1, or 28, 26 and 1. So very close. Very mediocre in terms of that. If you bet with us, you probably lost money. If you faded us, you lost money. Nobody made any money on this whole thing this entire year. So except for the bookies.
Exactly.
So we're gonna do something a little different this week. We're gonna go through all 6 of the games, and we'll have a pick on each one. We'll kind of keep things going here. So we have the NFL slate up. I have the DraftKings odds up on here. So we'll start we'll go in the order that we finished in. So Teddy will go first. I'll go second. Jeff, you can go third. So first game, 4:30 on Saturday. I'll be knee-deep in wrestling. I think the Illinois game starts at 4:30 as well. But in the background of the wrestling, I will have on Rams at Carolina. Rams minus 10.5 is the line. Teddy, what are your thoughts there?
I mean, I love the Rams to win this game, but 10.5 is so many points. And Carolina plays fairly well at home. I can't. I have to pick Carolina getting 10.5. I have to.
I'm going to pick Carolina. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike. You're up.
I would take the Rams just to save the graphic for all of us, because I think, Jeff, you're probably going with Carolina as well. But I just think Carolina is lucky to get in. They lost to Tampa at home, and then they go in and need Atlanta to pull off a win to get into the playoffs. I think they're very lucky to be there. I think the Rams, up until last week, were one of the best teams in the league and one of the Super Bowl favorites. So I will take the Rams in a rout on Saturday.
So you guys may think that I'm rooting for Carolina because I live in Carolina. I'll tell you why I'm not. Because the fans are so phony down here. All of a sudden, all the Carolina stuff is being brought out, and they were nowhere to be found during when they were in the trenches, like we are with the Jets and Giants. So I love the Panthers, but I can't stand the fans. But I'm still going Carolina here. Uncle Ted, I agree. 10 points is a lot. Traveling across the country for the Rams. I do think they win. In fact, it's almost a lock they win. Mm-hmm. But I do think Carolina keeps it close. They're a tough team. They're very, very well coached. And I think the Rams beat them by like 6 points.
Carolina
6
beat
points
them at home earlier in the season.
Yep.
Oh.
Now, a couple weeks ago, actually.
Yeah.
It wasn't that too far away. But Carolina, one week they look very good. The next week they look really bad. Yeah. So I'm voting they're still going to look bad. So give me the Rams there. So that's game one. And then I thought this game was going to be easily the 4:30 game on Sunday afternoon or the Sunday night game, but they stuck it on Amazon Prime because they really want to give it to, suck up to Amazon and make sure they give them more money for next year. But we have Green Bay at Chicago in Soldier Field Saturday night. Going to be wild over there. Green Bay -1.5 is the total right now. Bears are home underdogs. Teddy, what do you think?
Chicago.
Yeah, I am 100% on Chicago. Green Bay is all hurt. I don't think they are going to be able to stay up with them as much as you think that Green Bay owns Chicago. I think this is a chance to finally put that narrative to bed and have the Bears do well, because if the Bears can get through this game, they have a really good chance to, make some noise and maybe get back to the Super Bowl at this point. So,
yeah, initially I was going with the Packers, but I have to go with the Bears because I have a buddy of mine down here. He's a huge Packers fan, and I didn't realize how decimated they are with the injuries. It's not just Parsons; it's a lot of guys. So I got to go with the Bears. It's -1.5, so basically, win or lose, right?
+1.5.
Yeah, I got to go with
+1.5.
I'm sorry, +1.5. I got to go with the Bears.
Nice.
All right, so all three of us on Chicago there, and then we go to Sunday's slate, the 1:00 game, Buffalo at Jacksonville. The Bills are getting 1.5 points, so they're favored. Should be a very entertaining game. I like the over in that game. It's 51.5. I think that's going to be an absolute shootout. But Teddy, what do you think?
Jacksonville -1.5.
I'll take Buffalo. I think they are. If it's not this year, then it will never happen for them. So I like Buffalo. I like they're a maligned fan base that really has never gotten their shot. So give me Buffalo to win and cover the 1.5.
Yeah, I have Buffalo going all the way this year, and I'm rooting hard for them because I want them to keep their dirty paws off of John Harbaugh when they fire McDermott if they lose round one. So yeah, I'm going Bills with the 1.5.
All right, and then we have what a lot of people think is a pretty high-powered matchup here. San Francisco traveling across the country to Lincoln Financial Field and Philadelphia. Philly is getting 4.5 points. Over-under in that game is 44.5. I don't know how I feel about that over-under, but Teddy, what do you think of the game itself?
I'm going to take San Francisco. It's 4.5. It's a lot of points, but Philadelphia hasn't given me anything to be confident about them in. Maybe this is the game they do, but I think San Francisco, I'm picking them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take the Eagles just because my wife is probably listening to this right now. Maybe she doesn't want me to take the Eagles because of the way I typically bet. So I'm going to take them anyway. I just think that they've been waiting all season. They knew they're going to get to the playoffs with the division that they're in. They were just loading their time, making sure everybody's healthy. They didn't play anybody last week. They kind of got a mini bye going forward. I think they come out and show themselves as being the defending champs, and they win by 10 points. I think at home. That place is going to be berserk.
I mean, listen, man. You could smell it from a mile away. I certainly can as a Giant fan. Here come the Eagles. Here we go again. Say what you want about Jalen Hurts. The guy plays well in these games, in the big games, bright lights, playoffs. I think the Eagles win. I don't want to say dominate, but they're going to win by about 10 points. I agree, Mike. I think the Eagles win this pretty relatively handily.
And I think they're already lining up at Lincoln Financial Field for tailgating already. And the game's like 4.5 days away. So
gotta see these morons happy again. Ugh, this is the last thing you want to see.
Grease the poles.
Yeah, I have the shirt. I might wear it next week. So, and then we have our Sunday night game. We have the Chargers heading to Gillette Stadium, not with Tom Brady, not with Bill Belichick, with Drake May and Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots. Patriots are getting 3.5 points at home. Teddy, what do you think?
I'm going to take the Chargers, partly because I absolutely hate the Patriots, and I just can't see myself picking them. But I think that the Patriots are going to, I think they're going to implode a little bit. I think this is where the lights get very bright and very hot. And this team, I don't know if this team is ready for this. And and Jeff, I want to throw this to you. I just saw a report come out quick on my phone. Harbaugh is not expected to take any interviews till next week.
He's waiting for the playoffs. He's
waiting for this.
It's 100% what he's doing. 100%.
So I'm going to take the Chargers and hope that they do it. The San Diego Superchargers.
I'm with you. Go Chargers. I'm with you on the Chargers there for a lot of the same reasons. I can't pick New England at anything. I just can't do it. I've had enough of them.
Yeah.
I think they are a fraud. They are a thing of their schedule.
Preach.
I think they are. I think Mike Vrabel is not been great in the playoffs when he was at Tennessee. When they were the 1 seed and they got upset in that divisional round game in the second round. I think Harbaugh is here to make some noise in the playoffs. So give me LA plus 3.5.
Wait,
so Uncle Teddy, you
minus 3.5.
Chargers are plus 3.5.
Okay,
sorry.
All right.
Oh, okay. I thought you said minus 3.5.
That the Patriots were underdogs. Okay.
Uncle Teddy, you know my thoughts on Drake May.
I know.
I said this before he got drafted. I said he'd be better than Caleb Williams. I am so sold on Drake May. And I got to go with the Patriots. I think they can surprise people in the playoffs. I think he's not a perfect quarterback. There's no such thing as a perfect quarterback, but he's such a clean quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He plays the game so clean without making big mistakes. He's so stone-faced in the big moment. Obviously, Mike Vrabel, we know how good he is. I think the Patriots are going to surprise people. And if I'm going to pick a dark horse for the Super Bowl, I would go with them. So I got to keep riding that wave. I'm going to go with the Patriots.
Mike, our only salvation is he went 0-6 down the stretch.
I know. And by the way, hold on. Did you guys see what just happened here?
What?
I caught this, Uncle Teddy. You're not getting away with this. I love how Uncle Teddy says, partly because he hates the Patriots. No. It's because you hate the Patriots. That's why you're
why. I don't care who.
It's not partly. It's
100%.
It is. I'm in the West German Army at this point. So.
Jeez.
And then we have Monday night, finally, to wrap up our super wild card weekend. The Houston Texans heading out to the ketchup bottle in Pittsburgh. And Aaron Rodgers. Houston favored by 3 points on the road. Teddy, what do you think?
Houston. Give the 3. Houston Texans.
I'm taking Pittsburgh here. Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin has never lost a Monday night game in his career. They put this game on Monday night for a reason, and I think they want to see Pittsburgh get to the next round. I think Rodgers still has some juice left in him. When I saw him go down the field against Baltimore at the end of that game, I got extra sad because he should be doing that in green and white as opposed to black and gold. But I love Pittsburgh. Getting 3 points at home, I will take them in this spot.
I'm so torn on this because I think it'd be awesome to see Aaron Rodgers keep moving forward. I think it's good for the NFL. I really do. Like, 'cause it's a story, right? So I want to go Steelers, but I can't. I think the Texans defense is just too good. Rodgers, who, Mike, you're right. I mean, he's definitely got some juice left, but does he have enough juice to outrun that just absolutely brutal Texans defense? I don't think he does. I know Metcalf is coming back, which makes a big difference. But I can't do it. I want to say Steelers. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I have no problem losing this, but I have to go Texans.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Take that with a grain of salt. Our picks for this week. Guys, this has been fun.
Yep.
Again, please like, subscribe. We have the link tree in the corner. Tell your friends. We got some interesting numbers from the end of 2025. What were the countries that people were listening to us in?
So overwhelmingly, of course, the United States. But then the next 4 countries that we had representation in: Nigeria, Bulgaria, India, and Spain. And Jeff, I think it was because, especially Bulgaria, it was because of all those Mikey Mush picks from Bulgarian, like kickball and hand boxing and hand jive sports, whatever he picked. They love him. He's big in Bulgaria. Mike is big in Bulgaria.
That's what we call the algorithms.
Yes, right.
In Bulgaria.
Yes, exactly. So if you got any friends in Bulgaria, tell them to listen to the podcast. If you have friends in America, also tell them to listen to the podcast. Like, subscribe. We will catch you guys all next week. Guys, this was a lot of fun, and we will catch you all next week.
Take care, guys.